Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Flashpoint TV. My name is Austin, and we have a great episode for you today. How would you like to enhance or start your wealth journey? How would you like to learn more, especially in this marketplace? And more specifically, what about that? Supposedly it's an asset, but that home mortgage. Real estate is all over the place right now. I hear the stories. We're going to dive into that. We're going to talk about building your wealth, but more specifically, we're going to talk about the mortgage. The mortgage, that thing you pay every single month. Let's get some clarity on the mortgage. Are you a speaker? A professional speaker? Maybe you've been on the circuit for a while. Maybe you're looking to get back in the game. Maybe you're like, I want to get on that stage. I want to improve my public speaking. You are in the right place because we have both of those things covered for you today, along with a host of other opportunities. But before I move any further, I want to stop and give you a shout out, the listener, the viewer. We are over 15,000 views a month with an average view time of 13 minutes per viewer out on the incredible platforms that are out there. It's basically saying that people want on-demand television, and we are over 15,000 views a month. So I thank you for being a part of this show. I thank you for sharing this, those of you that share this, because there's somebody that needs to hear it. Whether it gets to them or not, I trust that it will as we continue to grow. But you're as much a part of this show as I am for showing up. Without you, it does not happen. So I want to thank you, and I'm going to jump ahead and introduce the cowbell because we highlight the cowbell as a part of the show as for those aha moments that kind of come through. So let me kick the show off. And by the way, we are missing our beautiful, lovely co-host, Mandy Robinson, today. I want you to send some positive vibes her way. I trust she'll be back as soon as perfect. But we are missing you, Mandy, so we can't wait to have you come back and join us. Because this is the part that Mandy helps with, but I'm going to jump right in. This is the hourglass. And what is this? This is just a symbol. We do it as like a ritual every single show. If you've been here every week or you're just coming in for the first time, it's our reminder, and for me, to live in the present moment. Can we live more in the present moment? And I'm looking at that little tag. It says productivity. How many of you need some productive energy today? How many of you need some inspired energy today? I need to be inspired. Austin, do you always feel positive? How do you do it? Are you always positive? No, I'm not. And that's why when I come on here, the show, the morning show, we do a show every single morning at 7:45, gratitude and inspiration. Perhaps we'll share that here today. I am not always positive. But here's what I am. I'm aware and I want to feel better. I want to cultivate better emotions. I want to embrace the negative as they come up, as the things come through, because, here it is. This is the future. We don't know what it is, but I know it's coming in some form, in some manifestation. It's going to come. And when it gets here, I don't know. I can't guarantee it's going to be positive every time. I can think positive. I can feel positive, but sometimes something comes, doesn't it? And it's unexpected. And we're like, what do I do with this? I never expected this. I can't stop the flow. And I can't even be 100% sure what's going to happen. But what I can do is embrace this as it unfolds, to be in the present moment. And then maybe I can become intentional and kind of direct the flow of where the sand is going. And then, as my friend Gordon just said, Gordon Melville, kicking off his show tomorrow, He said, well, what if I want to focus on a set area? I could tilt the glass and hold it steady. If there's an area I want to improve, what if I just focus long enough and strong enough with enough intensity, perhaps on wealth? Could I build that area of wealth up if I just focused on it? If I just got around somebody like Marlon, could I do it? And that leads me into the setup today, but I want you to dial into the present moment with me today. If you clicked on live playback, Apple TV, Amazon, Roku, wherever you find this, I want this to serve you today. And I want you to share it with somebody. Somebody needs to know that they can be intentional, that they can change. And even when I make the change, I can't always guarantee where that sand's going to land, but I can still be intentional about it and trust that it will show up the right way, especially in the area of wealth, health, finances, breakthrough. Because that's what Flashpoint is, right? It's manifesting the moment of your big breakthrough, but the manifestation is time is unfolding. And I just want to be more intentional about it. And this leads me into this question. Have you made time to connect with your highest aspirations today? I don't know what my highest aspiration. That's easy for you to say, Guy. I don't know what mine is. Have you made time to discover today? There's an old thing in golf. I always remember this from a comedy called The Honeymooners from a long time ago. And the character's name is Ralph Cramden. I just really probably dated myself, even though I didn't grow up in that time. I remember the show. And there's this one episode where Norton, his comedic sidekick, they're going to golf. And he says, well, you got to address the ball. You got to address the ball. And he's like, what do you mean? And then the whole thing in golf is you don't just go up and whack well, some people do. I guess I got to watch. Some people might do that. Some people might just go up and go rip. But does a professional golfer just walk up and rip the ball? Or does a professional golfer walk up and address the ball? Focus on the ball. Envision the hit. Envision the drive, the putt, the whatever, before contact is made on the ball. We address the ball. Have you addressed your highest aspiration? Have you addressed maybe that I want to discover my highest aspiration? I want to feel a little bit better today. Say that you will make time today and be intentional. So that's the hourglass and a little side story. The next thing we highlight is the Thomas Edison light bulb. And as always, it's a constant reminder that we're not failing. We are constantly getting feedback. We are not failing because the only way to fail is to quit and stop. And why would you stop? And why would you quit? Because you didn't figure out what your highest aspirations were that were connected to something deeper than just superficial. Superficial quits. Deeper lasts. Deeper keeps going. Until, as Jim Rhodes said, until the desired outcome, or perhaps even better than the desired outcome. So if you're going through a challenge right now, I want you to remember Thomas Edison when asked, how does it feel to fail 10,000 times? Thomas Edison said, I did not fail 10,000 times. I successfully created 10,000 ways in which the light bulb could not be created. And I was fortunate enough to live close to where the light bulb, the refined, finished, incandescent light bulb was produced and released to the world. And I picked up this replica right there. That's the light bulb and our reminder. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to feel better during this show. What will you do to feel a little bit better? What incremental change can you make to feel a little bit better than you feel right now? Because I am aware that people are going through stuff. You're going through something. You want a breakthrough in your life. You want to turn the page. You want to begin a new chapter. You want to start a new journey, and you're wondering where to go, and you're here. But we start with right now. We start with the present moment, and we start with feeling a little bit better than you feel. Whether you're flying high or whether you're trying to just get out of a tough situation, I want you to feel better a little bit now. Feel better now, even if it's just a little bit better. And if you feel better, I want you to type that in throughout the show. If you don't type it in. But if you do, by all means, do it. And here's the one theme. I'm going to share a couple themes that have happened in the morning show. One, show up. Show up. Hello, TJ and DJ. We got TJ and DJ. This should be called the TJ and DJ show. There we go. DJ, Duchess DJ Love, our sponsor for Power of Pure Presence. I'll get into that new show. And then we got TJ with us. My thought just went right out of my head, but it's going to come back. Here it is. Show up messy, show up imperfect, but keep showing up. Will you keep showing up? Not for me, not for Flashpoint, but for yourself. For yourself. I had a conversation today. I'm going to grab the Dream Big because it's hot and I want to hydrate and I want to continue to dream big even when I'm feeling small. Will you dream big even when you're feeling small? Say that you will. Say, I will dream big even when I'm feeling small. Dream big even when you're feeling small. That should be another thing we do. I feel small, but I'm going to dream big and I will continue to dream big. And if I can't do that, I'm going to work to feel a little bit better than I feel right now. I had a conversation today. And it was all about this. People are not positive. People see you. They don't connect with you because they're contracting. They're in a state of depression. They're upset. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be depressed, but don't be upset because you're upset. Don't be depressed because you're depressed. You're allowed to feel whatever you're feeling. This is life. This is embracing where we are and knowing that everything is inside. We can show up messy. We can show up imperfect. We can show up flawed, and we can dream big even when we're feeling small. Make sure you hydrate. All right, and then we have the cowbell, which I talked about earlier. We got a great show today. I want you to just dial in wherever you are. You're here. And if you feel better during the show, just put that in. Feel better, felt better, whatever you want to type in. I welcome you live, and whether you're on the playback. We have guests with us. Hashtag dream big. Even if you feel small. Hashtag dream big, even if you feel small. So we have a couple guests with us today. This is a dynamic situation. Got to take care of my nose. I apologize. So here we go. We have Marlon Mueller, who's going to talk about mortgages. Marlon's a farm boy. He became a multimillionaire, and he's dedicated himself to the wealth space. And a lot of people are in the wealth space today, but Marlon has been in it long enough to see those little micro differences. How many of you know what I'm talking about? There's little nuances in every area where these people that are esteemed, they know these little different things, different perspective that the masses don't know. Say yes if you know what I'm talking about. And those little things make all the difference. They make all the difference. And it usually comes down to mindset and then strategy. Mindset and then strategy. And the mindset sometimes comes at a price. The mindset comes through lots of what? Failure. The mindset comes through what? 10,000 successful ways it didn't work, doesn't it? But that mindset is evolved and it develops and matures over time. And that's what I liken to Marlon. And Marlon will tell you he's made a lot of mistakes to get where he is, but his journey continues to evolve, and he wants to teach. He has a heart to teach, to share, to grab those distinctions so that you can pick up on it. And we're going to be grabbing our other guest, which I'm going to share with you here, is, let's see here. We'll get this in. I'm doing this right now, real time, everyone. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share a poem with you. I'm doing this right now, real time, everyone. So I love it. Technology is always not always cooperative, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share our documentary from our Flashpoint TV. Some of you have seen it. I'm going to share the little clip. It's a highlight from the documentary. And the reason why I'm going to share that is because we are inside of 90 days from when Flashpoint Live is going to happen, October 7th, 8th, and 9th. This will be a transformational experience like nothing you've ever attended. Why? Because I've been doing this for years, and I'm bringing in speakers who are going to touch your heart, educate your mind, and fire you up. Even if you're doubted, clouded, shrouded, unsure, you will walk away with more clarity, more determination, more purpose, and a vibe in a tribe that you've never had before. And that's what we're building. So I'm going to share this, and while I get some links straightened out, I'm going to share, here we go. So this is a little highlight reel, if you will. So let's do that now. Oops. And I think you're going to enjoy this. So here we go. Some of you have seen it already, but we're going to share it again right now. My life is over. These words came out of my mouth at one of my lowest points in life. I was at my lowest point, void of clarity, inspiration, or meaning. The thing I needed to change was the way I looked at myself. In the midst of all the chaos, confusion that you might go through, there's a moment of validation and clarification. Flashpoint, manifesting the moment of your big breakthrough. And that's the beautiful thing about Flashpoint, is that it happens in us first. And that was the birthplace of Flashpoint. Flashpoint is like coming in like a flash saying, no, there's more. Information's everywhere. Experience is rare. Enter Flashpoint. They so desire, they want to win in their lives. They want the big breakthrough. And we provide that environment for them to win. Most recently, I launched the Rocky campaign. Sure enough, I'm doing these videos every day. People start to meet me. I have guests literally at the Rocky steps, and we're pouring out these informational content. And next thing you know, it gave birth to the Rocky experience, which we've added to Flashpoint. And now we just completed the first ever Rocky experience with the Flashpoint Live Immersion. They want to climb these steps in physical form as a metaphor for their own lives. There you have it. I think it's this way I look. Yeah. That is the Flashpoint trailer. The full documentary is out, and it's it's being shared. There's lots of people jumping in, and I'll share some exciting news for you right now, is that we are already working on documentary number 2. And documentary number 2 is going to have 5 featured stories that are going to be recorded and videoed throughout the course of Flashpoint Live, October 7th, 8th, and 9th in Philadelphia at the Hilton Penn's Landing, right on the Delaware River. It's an incredible place. It's right near Old City, Philadelphia, home of the Liberty Bell, the Declaration of Independence, and streets that Ben Franklin walked. First library, first post office, first hospital, you name it. Right there in Philadelphia is where it happened. So many of you from around the world or around the US are going to have a great opportunity, especially if you've never been there, to be a part of something special. This is going to be a special event. We have people coming in from all over, and I know you're going to absolutely love it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if Marlon is available now as we are getting ready, because we are in the moment and the clock is ticking. The sand is pouring through. Are you feeling better? Well, here we go. So TJ is saying, I needed this today. Thank you. DJ is listening while working, and we're dreaming big. So it looks like Marlon's ready. So we're going to go ahead and jump in, and I want you to bring on, I want you to introduce, well, I want you to give a warm welcome to my good friend, colleague, mentor, if you will, mentor in the wealth area, Mr. Marlon Mueller. Marlon, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing well.
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Glad to be here.
What's happening in your world before we jump in?
Well, actually, I just got off a Zoom call.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was on real estate, which was really interesting. So one of the guys was talking, they're investing in Georgia, South Carolina area, and they're just talking about the growth in real estate as far as like, you know, typical $200,000 house is raised in value over $50,000 in 6 months, which is just crazy stuff.
Say that again.
There's houses like a $200,000 house has gone up in value like $50,000 in the last 6 months.
Wow.
So it's it's a crazy deal.
Well, we're going to get into what you're working on, but I really loved the topic that you picked today. And I really think this is going to pull the curtain back, remove the veil, if you will, with these mortgages that we've been in. And you and I had some sideline conversations about this, and I couldn't believe it. And oh, here we go. We got Myrtle Beach is booming, over 900 permits. Wow. So real estate is rocking and rolling. So Marlon, do you want to jump in?
Yeah. Do I have the ability to share?
I have everything queued up. I always have you covered. Let's just send it ready. Technology is going to work. Okay. We're good now. All right, here we go. Let's see if we can share the screen. I have it queued up. Marlon, let's do it.
Okay.
How we doing?
Good. I just got to figure out where to find it.
Well, I have it here right on the screen. Can you
see
you
it? Do? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, actually, I changed a few things, but that's all right. That'll work. So anyway, today we're just going to talk about, so a lot of people right now, in fact, I was on another group call earlier this morning, and someone brought up, is it a good time to buy a house? And with interest rates, and especially yesterday, they announced, the new inflation rate at 9.1% based on how the government calculates inflation.
I'm eager to get into this. Okay.
We both know that inflation the previous month was like 8-point-some%. And based on the 1980 rules, that's how they calculate inflation, we were running over 16%. So now that we're over 9%, I'm sure it's over 17% inflation rate that we're running based on 1980 rules. And if anybody remembers 1980 inflation period, I think the top of the inflation rate was at 14. So we're higher than that. So there's a lot of people are kind of like, okay, interest rates are going to be jumping more. Fed's going to be doing that. what do I do? Do I buy it now? And is interest rates important? So what people don't realize is interest total versus interest rate. And because I remember I had bought a house in 06 and got it at 5.25%. And then, of course, the housing crisis happened, interest rates went down. I jumped on the bandwagon like everybody else, going, whoa, interest rates have never been this low. Refinance, then they go lower. It's like, oh my gosh, refinance again, and then they go lower.
Right.
And so
I
at
remember
some
this.
point, I just like, okay, this is just stupid, because I don't know if people realize this, but when you refinance and you're refinancing a 30-year note and you paid on, say, 10 years, you just started the ticking clock all over again, paying the most interest up front on a brand new 30-year refinance. That's why banks like you to refinance.
Oh yeah, of course.
So when
they
I
sell the payment, right? They sell the payment
yeah.
and they collect.
Well, and you think you're saving money. So I did that, and I'll share a little bit later, remind me, but I actually looked at when I refinanced all those times versus if I would have stayed with my original one, where I would have been. And it was shocking.
Well, Marlon, this is what I love about you is that you've made the mistakes. You're not up here like some of these people in the ivory tower. They've been right. You've made the mistakes. You've gotten dirty. You've rolled in the mud. You've literally probably with the farm story. But I mean, as far as your wealth journey, you've made these mistakes and now you have so much wisdom to share with others.
Yeah. I always just kind of wish I knew what I knew now. So I was be smarter when I was doing stuff.
We all say that, right? I know.
So I learned the hard way. So go to the next slide. So what I did was I took I just said a $200,000 house. We're going to purchase that house. We're going to get a 30-year mortgage. We're going to put 20% down so we don't have to pay the credit insurance. And then we're going to have a loan, a $160,000 loan. So go to the next slide.
Okay.
So based on this, when do you think, what time frame on a 30-year note do you think you get to where you're paying same interest as you are paying same principal? What percent of the loan?
Well, it's usually like I want to say it's over 20 years on a 30-year note, right? I'm looking here.
It's around 18 point some months. Yeah. So it's about 60+% of the note that you're paying on a 30-year, you're paying more interest than principal.
Right.
And what's interesting, I don't know what it's been the last 10 years, but prior to that, the average person moved every 7 years. So each of those represents a year. So you look at, if you go 7 years, you haven't paid much on principal. And then you go refinance, you do it again. And if it wasn't for appreciation of properties, people would go, hey, I didn't make any money. So that's something you got to remember. So go to the next slide. It's a little more detailed. So this is taking a look at a 30-year fixed interest rate mortgage. And you can see at month 222 out of 360 months is when you reach that period where you're paying the same in interest and principal. So at the very beginning, you pay about 18% principal, maybe 88% in interest. And but it takes that long. So, which is interesting that the banks are allowed to do this because, most interest rates is what they call a simple interest rate. So you just pay so much interest per year. Like if you have a home equity line of credit, that's on a simple interest rate. So you just pay if it's, if you got a 10% interest on $1,000, you pay $100. But in this case, you pay very little principal, but you pay all this interest up front.
I've heard this before, and it's discussed frequently, and maybe this is why Robert Kiyosaki used to say, your home is not an asset, it's a liability, because people are consistently paying on the interest. And if you don't get that appreciation, which you may not get, right, depending on the home, although you may get it now, you never end up really getting that equity that you really make. It really becomes an asset. So it's like a liability, right?
Sort of, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, there's always equity going to be made. It's just that working with a bank like that on a typical mortgage, I think our country is the only one that really sets up these kind of mortgages. Most of the other countries, they still use line of credit kind of a mortgage, simple interest. So I read that somewhere once. But anyway, I thought, interesting. But in our country, a typical mortgage, I mean, you're paying all that interest. And I've
Yeah.
never had a car loan, but I didn't realize, but car loans are the same way.
And
So,
the thing that I think about, and you could probably speak more of this, Marlon, but if we were to go back 100 years or more, a 30-year mortgage was not even a thought. Like people had there was shorter term debt periods, right?
right,
Where transactions were simpler and people did get into ownership a lot quicker. But the line just kept moving and moving and moving. And we live, on credit, right? I mean, so we could basically get the rewards in advance, if you will.
right. Well, and especially with the dollar devaluing even now, costs keep going up. So even like cars, I mean, people are buying cars. I remember I had a mentor back in the uh, 80s, early 90s. He used to talk about when he got married in the 70s, that he could he bought a house, a car, and health insurance all for a few $100 a month, and then then the 80s hit and or 70s, 80s inflation. And then, in the early 90s, he was like, I'm paying as much for a car as I used to pay for a house. And
Wow.
so that's kind of what the thing is as things go up. So now you see cars that used to be a 5-year notes. Now some of them are, 7 and more in years for a note. So
Yeah,
crazy.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So go to the next slide. So this was interesting. Have you ever heard like if you pay every other month or every other week, like a bi-weekly, that you can save some interest?
Yes.
You know what that's the same as?
No.
Making one payment at the beginning of the year. You know,
It's one extra payment, right?
yeah, it equals one extra payment. Now,
Yes.
if you make the payment, one extra payment at the beginning of the year, you'll actually save a little more interest because you're paying interest throughout the year until it gets paid off doing the biweekly. So in this example, I thought was interesting. So if I make that one extra payment throughout the note, I'll take that 30-year note and I literally pay off 5 years extra faster.
Wow. So just one
Making one
extra
extra
payment a
payment.
year.
Yeah. Now, if I make 2 extra payments a year, it's not as valuable as far as a return. I only save maybe 3 more years beyond that. And if I make 3 extra payments, I only save about 2 years beyond that. See how the graph it slows up on the return
Right.
for dollars.
So that one extra payment, you get the lion's share of the time cutoff.
Yeah, in this example, right, of doing it this way.
Right.
So, but people have always heard that, and I just thought that was interesting. Now, if you go to the next slide, this is what I call the key slide, and hopefully you can read this. So what I did was I literally took. The other numbers don't show up. Okay.
Well, they're over here, you mean?
No, there's other numbers in there for principal and payment.
Okay. Well, we'll have to talk through it because maybe you
But
sent it to
these
me.
are the most important numbers. That's interesting. So my payments, I don't remember what they were, but I literally borrowed that $160,000,
Okay.
and the rates. I got to look at my. Well,
You want to pull yours up so you can see it?
yeah, because that's you're missing all the good information.
Ah,
Um, how do I share screen?
oh, I don't know if you can you share?
Yeah, that's what.
Okay. So go give it a shot. If you can pull it up on your side, then we can see it because I think it has to do with like a Microsoft versus Apple.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, I'm gonna dream big. in the meantime.
Okay, so you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
I'm going to add it.
Oh,
Oh, there we go. Perfect. You just might need to make it bigger somehow.
make it bigger.
Yeah, so keep making it bigger because it's
okay. Let's see.
let me try this. Marlon, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Is
we
that
could
bigger?
just move the slides up. There you go.
Can you see it?
Yes.
All right. I can't see you. I can just see my screen.
I just had the screen up there for now because I wanted people to see it.
Okay. So what's interesting about this is I literally, so I borrowed the 200,000, I put 40,000 down. So my principal is 160,000. And what I highlighted was the interest on that 30-year note. So the first line, I got a 4% interest rate. So my total interest is basically $115,000 over the 30-year note. The second line is at 5%. So getting that 1 extra percent in interest, I'm paying about $35,000 more in interest over the lifetime of that note. So there is value in getting a lower interest rate. Now, what's really interesting is the next line. That next line, I still have my higher interest rate at 5% versus 4%, but I made a one-time only payment of $20,000 towards the principal after year one. That's all I did extra. And by doing that, I actually, if you notice, I'm paying less interest than at 4% on a 30-year note. So I'm literally paying less than 4% over the life of that note. And I saved 6 years and 7 months.
With the $20,000 down payment?
Just that one extra principal payment at the beginning, after year one.
So you're making the $20,000 after year one?
Yep. So after 12 months, I throw in an extra 20,000, say, add that to my principal. So I took my note from 160 or 50, it might have been like 156,000. So now it's 136,000.
All right. So I'm going to put us back in here for a moment.
Okay.
Because what if somebody can't do that?
Well, I'm just saying this is an example. I mean, sometimes, you end up with maybe you get a windfall, maybe get an inheritance or whatever else. But and it doesn't have to be 20,000. And there's actually ways around that. If you get a home equity line of credit, I've done that to pay down faster using that principal because it's like I said, it's not that you're not paying all the interest, it's simple interest. So there's other techniques you can do to drive it. So,
okay.
Yeah. But in this example, I just want to show you just what it would look like if you did something like that.
Well, it is interesting, Marlon, that, when you look at the total scope, you're talking about $20,000 and you cut off 6 years and you're actually paying, less than the 4% total out of pocket.
Right.
Well, listen, I want to get to a summary because just for a limited time, but we're going to have you come back on it. We're going to be bringing Marlon back on, everybody, from time to time here. But Marlon, is there any finishing thoughts on the slides before we?
No, there's if people, they can email me and there's one thing I'm going to put in the chat. There's a mortgage calculator that I use that you can play around.
Yes.
And this has been a really valuable tool for me in the sense that I can use that to go, okay, what if I make an extra payment, or what if I make an extra one-time payment, or you can go, what if I make an extra payment every 6 months or once a month annually. So you can do a lot of things, and then it'll do a printout of what you would see every month for the life of that loan.
All right, I'm going to drop that in for everybody because isn't this great information? So this is a mortgage calculator that Marlon uses. So in this market today, you can literally get an idea of what it's really going to be. But Marlon, before we close up, I just thought it was interesting how the rules change. And I think, the message that I think about is we always got to go deeper than what we're being told. And this is not just with finance, this is with everything. There's always another level. There's always go deeper because the government changed the rules. to make it, because people hear the interest rate and they justify it. Meanwhile, there's stuff that happens behind the curtain. You got to look at that total number out of pocket.
Yeah.
What am I paying out of my pocket? Forget the numbers, right? I did. I said, look, I don't want to know about all the numbers. What am I paying out of pocket for the total life of the loan? And I think this calculator is going to help people figure
Well,
that
that's what happened when, at the beginning when I was talking about that story where I refinanced a couple different times. And then I happened to find my original note at the higher interest rate. And then I was looking at where I was that year versus what if I would have stayed in that note, and I would have been farther ahead staying in the previous note at that time period in the loan
as
cycle.
opposed to refinancing, correct?
Refinancing 2 different times at lower interest rates.
Yeah, and I think I think about this study. I'll just say it real quick. There's a study, and I know people are going to know about this, where they put like a cookie. You ever hear them talk? They did it with children, right?
Yeah.
And they put a cookie in front of them, and they leave them alone with the cookie, and they say something like, "Well, if you can abstain from eating that cookie, you're going to get like a bigger surprise or something like that,
Yeah.
more cookies or something." And they ran the numbers, and I don't know what the exact numbers were, but I know most of them couldn't wait. And that stuff carries over into our adulthood, where we're not a fan of delayed gratification. We're just not. We want instant results. I always compare the Japanese culture, because in the Japanese culture, a short-term business plan is 20 years. A short-term business plan, 20 years. Look at Toyota. Look at the Japanese car companies, right? They excel. A short-term plan here, 5 years. Right? We're just trying to get through. If I'm thinking 20 years, I mean, that's a big vision. And I think we need to do that with our lives too, whether it's wealth, your health. Can you think bigger? Can you get out of the container of today? And I know when I'm feeling down, I open the show with this. The moment I start to think on a bigger container, my consciousness, my perception expands, and I allow new things to come in, and something always opens up.
Yeah.
Marlon, final thoughts before and I want you to stay on, because I'm going to introduce you to Christoph here in a moment.
Okay. Well, what's interesting, talking about thinking longer term. So I hurt my shoulder, long story, but anyway, I went to this physical therapist, and he's actually worked with the Prince of Saudi Arabia. I mean,
Wow.
he'll have CEOs fly him to his homes, and stuff. So I kind of hit the jackpot with him. But what's interesting when you talk about long term, how John talks about how he moves every part of his body like that.
My friend John, he's going to be 97 in a few days. Yes.
Yeah.
He says bones in motion. Yes.
Yeah. This guy says the same thing. And thinking long term and for health, he said you don't really have to get old, but you got to move and all that stuff. And I see that with health. I see that with wealth, looking long term, building long term plans. Even for me, I've done some stuff that, I know I won't be around, but I'm building for the future. It's kind of like my grandfather used to say when he was in his late 70s, he was planting a tree, and I was helping him. He said, "I don't plant this tree for me. I plant it for the next generation."
Oh, that's so good, Marlon. That I mean, I'm going to flash the light bulb for that. I don't know why, but I just feel like flashing. But that's
the
a
mindset that we need to have.
And yeah. So I want to say, like, be the long-term thinker in a world of instant gratification. Can you be the long-term thinker? Can you rise above the adrenaline spikes of quick success, hacks? Marlon's been at this for 35 years. 35 years. So we're going to have Marlon back from time and time. But right now, because of time, my gosh, I want to bring Christoph on. So I don't know if the two of you have met, but you're going to meet right now. So Christoph has an event coming up called the Ultimate Speaker Competition. And this is growing. I've gotten to know Christoph through Gordon. He's building an incredible culture. That's what I look at it as, a culture, because he's giving from seasoned professionals down to somebody who's like, I want to learn to speak. He's provided an incredible immersion type of experience. And there's one happening in Philadelphia. Christoph, give me a thumbs up if you're ready to join. Let's see. Is he on the phone? It looks like he's on the phone. So we're getting ready for the event. This is real time, everyone. So let me see if he wraps up in a minute. But Marlon, let me say this. You're going to be joining us at the Flashpoint Live 4.0 in October. And
All right.
Marlon's going to be speaking. What are you going to be speaking about, Marlon? Have you thought about it?
No.
That's okay. Well, here's the good news. I'm sure the market is going to reveal what you most want to talk about, because I'm sure there's going to be some things happening as there's always a change in the transition, right? The seasons seem to stimulate some type of a change. So we're going to get ready for that. And I love this here. This is, I believe, let's go someplace fun. We are sitting in the shade because someone planted a tree long ago. I believe that's Dana. Dana, welcome to this program. Christoph, give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Christoph, can you hear me? Christoph, give me a thumb. Okay, here we go. All right, we got 11 minutes. There he is, the man. He's on the phone. We're getting stuff ready for this Philadelphia experience, the ultimate speaker. Christoph, because we have 11 minutes, I just want to turn it over to you. This is Marlon, by the way.
Marlon, awesome to meet you. I caught a little bit of that. I mean, listen, man, you've got the knowledge, the experience, the expertise. People need somebody like you to help them feel confident when they're making those kind of decisions, right? Like, I'll tell you what, I don't know any of it, but at least you make it sound a little bit easier to understand. So I just
that's the main thing. Make it easy.
That is the main thing. Yes, yes. Because if we try to figure it out and we're not the experts, no. I know what I'm great at. I know what I'm great at. I know what I'm not good at. And I stay in my own area. You want to become an effective, powerful, impactful, confident speaker, even more, I'm your guy. You want to learn how to take your gifts and really amplify them to the world. Me and my team, this is what we're all about. It's just what Austin is all about as well, right? So we have this event coming up, and thank you so much, Austin. Just a pleasure. I can't wait to meet you in person. We've been on calls. This is my second or third time to be on your broadcast. Seen your Flashpoint documentary. We're just thrilled that you are a big part of this event. First time coming to Philadelphia, friends. Ultimate Speaker Competition. We've been doing this since 2019. The word says Ultimate Speaker Competition, but it's kind of misleading. Yes, there's a competition, but there's a lot of people that join us because of the connection, the collaboration, the heart-centered leaders working together. And if you're a heart-centered leader and you're all about making a positive impact in the world, and speaking is one of your gifts, or I spoke with a lady yesterday who's an artist, and she said, well, I'm not really a speaker. We've had people that come through our program that would say, they don't tag themselves as a speaker, but they are communicators. Maybe you're a leader in your company. Maybe you're in real estate. Maybe you're in healthcare. Maybe you're an educator. If communication is important, and I think it is, and talking to people, and if you have a story, a message, something that you've gone through or grown through, then that message, that story is not just for you. While we think that we've experienced these things, truly we have this people, and yes, sometimes speakers just stumble over their words. They just can't even enunciate properly. And yet we continue on. There's this idea that we've heard and we've learned, I don't know who created or coined it, but instead of saying something that happened to you, there's this idea of this happened for you, for me. You mean this trial, this tribulation, this obstacle, this sickness, this illness, this pain, this whatever it is, it happened for me? How could it happen for me? Because you're still here. No matter the situation, you're still here. And so that means that what happened in your life, maybe for a lesson for you to learn, maybe to build growth or character, but also maybe so that you could be an inspiration to other people, so that maybe somebody else that's going through the exact same thing that you just came through, they can hold on to that and say, wow, if they made it, I guess there's hope for me too. My wife and I like watching, well, I didn't at first, but I guess I am becoming more and more a
So
fan
Christoph, before you continue, I know Marlon's a busy guy. Marlon, do you want to hang in or do you got to?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
sorry, Marlon.
No, you're good. You're good. I just want to make sure. I know he's got stuff going on, but I can't wait to hear the story.
My wife and I watch AGT, America's Got Talent, and Ultimate Speaker Competition is not yet as big as America's Got Talent, but we're getting there. We have a lot of amazing things happening. There was one person on there that they highlighted in this show we just watched the other day, a woman named Jane. I don't know her last name, but she goes by the name Nightbird. And she was going through cancer. Just it was wreaking havoc in her whole body. But she got up and she sang this beautiful, amazing song.
Yes.
And it's about it's okay. And things are not always going to be beautiful. But she had this amazing spirit and light and joy. And she just shined. And this is somebody who shared her talents and her gifts instead of holding them in and saying, oh, life sucks and it's terrible. And then I posted her quote. She said this. What did she say? She said something to the effect of, we don't have to wait until life isn't hard anymore before we choose to be happy.
Yes.
And this is kind of the essence of what our event is about. This Ultimate Speaker Competition, yes, there's a competition, there's awards, there's prizes, but it's for speakers or people that have a message that want to make a positive impact in the world, or you already are, but you want to magnify and amplify it. And even people like this artist lady that I was mentioning a moment ago, who said, well, I'm not really a speaker. And I said, okay, well, why do you do your art? Are you sharing a message? Is there something, or is it just a bunch of colors and this? No, I'm sharing a message. How do people feel when they receive your art? Oh, I know that I make impact. I know that I change lives. People are in tears. They tell me that it made such a difference in their lives. And then she said, oh, and then by the way, my boyfriend keeps telling me that you need to be on stages too. You need to be speaking. And I said, okay, well then, like, if you feel it, then just jump, just go for it. You don't have to have all the answers figured out. You know, it is important to know certain things when we make decisions in life, but most of the time we make decisions in our heart, in our gut first, and then we justify them in our mind. Like, okay, most of the time, if we just do it in our brain, right, Austin, then we're going to be stuck in our head.
Right.
Go ahead. You say something about it.
No, I think I'm a recovering overthinker. Right. And yes, there are things that you need a lot of thought, but if I had a magic wand and I could measure, I would say 80% of the people overthink and don't take action. And their life is, you know, and I said this is a quote I just coined this week. Someday, the land of someday soon becomes the land of never was. And it's so true. And it was a theme on this thing today. And the theme was get ready. If you want to be a speaker, get ready. It doesn't mean, get ready means you start now. You start cultivating whatever you want right now. And I was speaking to myself. If you want to be a multimillionaire, get ready now. What happens when the millions come in? What are you doing with it? You want to be on a stage of 3,000 people? Get your speech written now. Even if you're shaking, quaking, scared, write it. So whenever you want to start a nonprofit, get ready now.
What are you waiting for?
Right.
I said this on our last broadcast. I don't remember who said it, but at the David Fagan event, somebody on stage said this is very simple, but it's so powerful. The problem is we think, go ahead, hold up. That's the hourglass.
Yeah, there you go.
The problem is you think you have time. The problem is you think you have time. I believe my goal, my intention, my hope, my prayer, Christoph J. Wyman, I am living until I'm 100, 101 years old. That's my plan. I don't know that I have that time. I'm doing it now. I'm doing it today. Think about, I had this idea in 2019 to launch this Ultimate Speaker Competition. If I hadn't done that, you know, the people that would not have connected, the people who would not have been able to share their messages. If you go on our website, we have a YouTube channel. There's about 50 videos of speakers that are brand new. They're not the best speakers in the world, but they know that they have a message they have to share.
So
then we have
here's
speakers.
the thing. We got 2 minutes.
Go.
Here's what I know. People are already feeling the energy of this. I would put this on like 10,000 if you come to the live event as a speaker. So I know there's some folks that are already enrolling. There's a buzz. So I know this is going to be, I already know this is going to be an awesome event. Already know it. The question is, will you be there? That's it. That's the only question. And I started this at an hour and we're already here. And so the time is ticking. We got 2 minutes. I just want to get a final thought from Christoph and Marlon, you too, since you're here.
Marlon?
Well, I just have to say, I totally agree with Chris because, you know, communication is so important and everyone really does have a story. So many times people say, I don't really have anything. But if you look at their life experiences, someone can benefit from those life experiences, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So learn to give that message.
And I will tell you this, if you are hesitant, this is such a very supportive, safe environment, very uplifting and empowering. We are not ridiculing or criticizing anybody. If you feel a calling to do this, connect with me, connect with Austin. Let's have a conversation today and let's take that step. If you feel a fear, jump. That's when you're going to be exhilarated and you're going to be, your future self will thank you. That is my guarantee.
Yep.
Love it. We're right at 4 o'clock. So everyone, I just want to let everybody know, first of all, I thank you, Marlon, for sharing your wisdom. We're going to have you back. Christoph and I are going to be working together as we get ready for this event. And Sunday, the power of pure presence will change your life. Guaranteed. 10 a.m. Sunday, Eastern Standard Time. This thing's already blowing up. I feel like this is what the world needs. So that's Sunday at 10 a.m. Other than that, let's keep the connections going. Reach out. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you much.
Bye. Thank you.
See ya.